What's good, y'all? I know I usually do motivational Mondays today, but in honor of the Tulsa, Oklahoma bombing and the massacre that happened, since this is the 100-year anniversary to this day, I kind of wanted to speak on that instead. So, and for y'all who don't know, basically, Tulsa was considered the Black Wall Street of its time, which was early 1900s, and the bombing happened on May I think it happened for a few days. The riots happened for a few days. It started on today, 100 years ago, so May 31st, 1921. And pretty much, from my understanding of what happened, was there was a black thriving community considered Black Wall Street. You know, it was a lot of wealth. It was a lot of successful, thriving black people. It was just Black Wall Street, like Wall Street is in New York. If you ever been there, it's just a lot of business. It's a lot of successful people. It's just a lot of business going on and a lot of success and a lot of just excellence. I guess that's the word, the excellence. And so I know I don't remember the full story, but I remember that basically a black man got accused of either harassing a white woman or raping a white woman. I can't remember the full story, but either way, white people came into that part of Tulsa and they basically burned it down. They burned it down to the ground. And I know later on they found out it was not even true. Whatever the accusations was, it found out that wasn't even true. But I know they burned down over 1,000 buildings. They killed over 300 people. And they literally burned down a whole black community. And like a whole thriving black successful community. I know some people say stuff like, oh, well, how are we supposed to thrive when they burning down the stuff that we create? And I mean, that's a valid point, because how can you feel motivated to build something if you know somebody else is going to try to tear it down? It's unmotivating to want to create, like when you build like Legos or something. If you create a Lego, like one of them sculptures or something people make out of Legos, and somebody lives like, okay, as soon as you make this, I'm destroying it. How many people really want to spend that much time and energy on something that they know is not going to exist once it's done? You know, and that's kind of frustrating in general. But I guess you can't use that as a crutch to keep yourself from obtaining wealth and building wealth and generational wealth and success. But it can also be a deterrent, and I can understand. I see both sides of it, but we just can't let it keep us from being great and striving for excellence. And I completely understand and I get it, and it is hard. It's definitely hard, especially when you don't really have a blueprint, because every time you try to create a blueprint, they try to figure out ways to, stop this from happening. So I think now with like investing and all this resources, the sources of information, it's a lot easier to find ways to build wealth these days. So we have to take advantage of those and figure out ways to create a new Tulsa, create a new Black Wall Street, to create new societies and neighborhoods and communities where we have black wealth, where we have black excellence. And we talk about, how people, once they become successful, we move into white neighborhoods. We got to start working on building our own black wealthy neighborhoods. I know like DC has some, Atlanta has some, I'm pretty sure Detroit probably got some. I think Cleveland has some. So we just have to start building those like black communities where we just have strong black communities that we really support each other. And it's not even, that's the problem, is a lot of times when you do have these thriving black communities, a lot of times they're very conservative and they kind of be more on the side of like Republicans and stuff like that, and they are very conservative. They aren't really fighting for like black people and black rights, and they usually like the politicians and stuff like that, and they playing politics. And at some point we have to have communities that's not playing politics to get ahead, and they actually, if they, we could play politics, but we have to do it for our community. Like, we have to be like, okay, this is what I want for my community. We have to do this, we have to do that. But a lot of times they're willing to get over on their own people in order to be successful and thrive and live in these communities. And it's like, no, we need to have these communities at the forefront, and we need to help push those ahead, and create that, those societies where we kind of like, no, this is what we want for our community type thing. And we have to start doing that, and pushing that and making that a thing. And just, that's why I try to educate as many young people as I can. It don't even gotta be young people, anybody that's willing to listen and learn, I will help them. Like, I try to help them learn the basis of investing, kind of how it works, how to see what's a good company, what's the companies, how companies are performing, how to pick good companies and different things like that. And then, if they willing to go another step, we talk about crypto or something, or we talk about art. It's so many ways to invest. And, I literally made a video yesterday about investing because I want to see black wealth. I want to see black excellence. I want to see all of us be successful. I was just joking with my friends the other day saying, if this crypto really take off, we need to start throwing an honorary banquet every year to celebrate our success. And especially if it helps us to create us to become millionaires off of it, it's like, I want to celebrate that, because it's like, just from making great investments, taking some risks, learning, doing your due diligence, it can pay off for the rest of your life just from making one good decision. Now, like I was mentioning, like, imagine if you bought like 1,000 shares of Amazon back when it was around like $10 a share. At that point, you made what was it, like $3 million off of an investment, off of just picking some good companies and learning, and taking a little bit of risk, and making some good investments. So I hope that the same thing works out for some of the cryptos I've been buying and different things like that. And that's why I do some risk, and I also do, constant investment on good companies, because they're good companies. And you just got to have that balance, and you just got to know you got to start teaching yourself how to invest, how to create wealth for yourself. And a lot of times we not doing that. We're not teaching each other how to do that. And we only know the basics. Like, most people just know, put some money in the savings account, save some money. But it's like, that money isn't growing. So, like, put it in something that's going to create more money for you, create wealth for you. And I was watching a video earlier about how this guy was talking about, you need to buy, instead of buying your first house, be a single family home, you should buy a multi-unit, so that you can live off of, you could live off the rent that the other person is paying. They could pretty much probably pay your mortgage off. So basically, now you living for free. Or if you get like a triplex or a fourplex, now they're paying off everything. They're paying off your mortgage. They're paying off your insurance. They basically, now you have income on top of what they paying. So they paying for your income now at that point. So now you can bring in income instead of even having the liability with the paying for a house note. You got extra income every month, and like you saying, you can use that to buy another property or invest it however you want to use your money. But just stuff like that, and we just gotta help uplift each other and help try to create these type of communities. Because if we not helping each other, then how are we gonna get to that point again? How are we gonna create those type of neighborhoods, those societies and stuff like that? And at the same time, you got to make sure you focus on you. And so you got to focus on how can you become your best self. And then that's when you pull all y'all assets together, and just think about, how can we pull our revenue together and create, maybe this building, or create whatever you're trying to create. If you got enough heads together that's doing something, y'all can create anything. So it's like, you just got to have that unity. And I think people don't realize how powerful unity can be and working together. And I'm not even saying you gotta be out here just actively doing stuff, but like, if somebody reach out, or if you have somebody is good at networking, you reach out to them like, hey, what's going on with this? What are people trying to do for this? Let me know how I can help. And sometimes, certain people can bring communities together. Other people, and fund it financially. I'm saying you don't all have to be actively in everything, but you just have to actively be involved in supporting how you can. You know, everybody supports in different ways, just like we're protesting. Everybody don't gotta be on the front line protesting, but if it's a cause that I need to back, you know, as far as signing petitions, you know, getting things approved, getting things pushed, you know, find out who to reach out to, you know, all that different stuff, speaking out on stuff, just doing different things, and we all play our part in order to achieve greatness. And that's all I wanted to say today is, man, just remember what happened in Tulsa. And, you know, just if you haven't ever heard of it or you never watched anything, I'm pretty sure a documentary just came out to honor it, the anniversary. I'm going to go try to check that out or find out more information on it. But if y'all never heard of it, look into it. It's definitely, it's inspiring yet saddening at the same time to see like this thriving, great black community thrive like that, and then see it be burned down and hear, you know, how it happened and people was getting killed and build all their business was burned down. And honestly, I haven't done any recent research because I'm not sure like how it is now. I'm pretty sure it didn't. It's not back to where it used to be. I'm not even sure if it's, you know, half of that or even, you know, 25% of what it used to be, you know. And so that's just saddening. And just a lot of communities, you know, like it was Rosewood, and even when you think about, like I was talking to my dad and stuff, you know, even you know, places like a Detroit or, you know, Cleveland or you know, just thriving black cities that aren't the same anymore due to you know, economic change and stuff like that, and just the jobs and all that. And we used to have thriving black communities, like you know, a lot of places. And just I'm from Cleveland, you know. I was kind of joking with my mom, but kind of serious, just saying like, cause she grew up here, and I'm like, cause if you never been to Cleveland, it's one of those. It's a typical Midwest city. If you ever been to the Midwest or from the Midwest, where you know. Especially if you live like in the hood or whatever, you every other house is either abandoned or torn down. So when you driving down the street, every other house is abandoned, it's torn down, it's just run down, the community run down, you know. It's the typical like hood when you think of like just impoverished and abandoned. Like pretty much that's how the Midwest as a whole looks. Like when you go anywhere in the Midwest that's like a bad neighborhood, like in a city, it's gonna be abandoned from Detroit to Cleveland, even smaller towns like Toledo, Youngstown, like any community, like those that had a lot of black people. And once it went down because of factories and stuff, Pittsburgh, another city, the cities where like people thrived and they lost factory jobs. It's abandoned now. And so I was asking her, do you remember when it used to be built like houses lined up, like, you know, like row houses and stuff, style houses, like just up and down the streets? And, you know, I remember like it's a street called Millionaires Row, and like, you know, now a lot of that turned into like Cleveland State. Like half those buildings that millionaires used to live in are like college libraries and stuff now, and stuff like that. But getting back to like living like in my neighborhood specifically, it's like now it's just hard to imagine this being thriving at one point for me personally, because ever since I've been born, it's been like this. It's been impoverished. It's probably gotten worse as I gotten older, you know. And now over the past maybe 10 to 15 years, they've been trying to, you know, build it back up, put gardens in. It's a school around my house, so now they building that, so they trying to make it look nicer to build up the school more. But it's the fact that like you can literally ride down the street and every other house is abandoned or it's torn down, and you can just tell like people don't care. Like, you know, it's just like people gave up for the most part, and it's like it's just disheartening to realize like at one point it was a thriving like neighborhood and community, and there was a lot of people here, there was a lot of businesses here, and it was just a lot. You could tell it was a lot of success and things like that. And it's hard to imagine now because we get so far removed from, we don't even process that. And it's my thinking is like, I was just driving around my neighborhood yesterday just thinking like, how could I help make this back to what it used to be? Like, what could I do to like help build this community back up, like make it better, make it more successful. And like I always say, I don't have all the answers, but just having the thoughts and trying to figure out ways to do stuff and start having those conversations with people. But y'all have a great day. Y'all be great today, and let's create something great, man. Y'all be great, man. It's all love, man. Sue me. One love.